Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel where we bring you the most electrifying and inspiring stories of real-life icons. Stories that awaken your spirit, sharpen your mind, and help you learn English naturally. Today, I am going to tell you about a boy who is always fighting. A boy who grew up on the crowded, chaotic streets of Hong Kong, getting into trouble, challenging rivals, and never backing down from a confrontation. A boy who was so fierce and so wild that his parents sent him away to a foreign country, hoping he would find a better path. But that boy did not just find a path. He created an entirely new one. He took the ancient traditions of martial arts and shattered them. He created his own style, his own philosophy, his own way of being. He became a teacher, a writer, and then a global movie star who introduced the beauty and power of Kung Fu to the entire world. He punched through racial barriers in Hollywood. He moved like water, fought like lightning, and thought like a philosopher. His name is Bruce Lee. How did a skinny, nearsighted street kid from Hong Kong become the most influential martial artist of the 20th century? How did he develop a philosophy that was as powerful as his famous one-inch punch? And how did he, in just a few short years, change the way the world sees action, Asians, and the art of self-expression? This is a story about fire, about water, about discipline, and about the incredible power of being truly, authentically yourself. It is the story of the little dragon. And as always, this story is a wonderful way to improve your English. You will learn vocabulary about martial arts, philosophy, and the human body. Words like discipline, technique, philosophy, adapt, explosive, precision, and legacy. You will hear about the fusion of mind and body. So, get ready. Let us begin from the very start. He was born Lee Junfan on November 27, 1940, in San Francisco, California. But his story truly begins in Hong Kong, a vibrant, dense British colony on the south coast of China. His father, Li Hui-chen, was a famous opera singer and actor, a star of Cantonese opera. His mother, Grace Ho, was a woman of strong character. According to the Chinese zodiac, Li Junfan was born in the year of the dragon and in the hour of the dragon. It was a double dragon blessing, and his family nicknamed him Little Dragon. It was a sign of the fire he would bring to the world. The family returned to Hong Kong when Bruce was just a few months old. They were not rich, but they were connected to the entertainment world. Bruce was a child actor, appearing in his first film at the age of 3 months as a prop baby. He would go on to appear in over 20 films as a child and teenager. He was a natural performer with a quick, expressive face and a wiry, energetic body. But he was also a troublemaker. The streets of Hong Kong after World War II were rough. Gangs of kids would fight for territory. Bruce was small, but he was fearless. He had a cocky, defiant attitude. He would strut through the streets, his collar up, looking for fights. He was beaten badly more than once. These defeats did not discourage him. They made him angry. He wanted to become a better fighter, not for sport, but for survival. At the age of 13, Bruce got into a serious fight with the son of a powerful triad gang member. His family was frightened. They knew that if he stayed in Hong Kong, his temper would eventually get him killed. So, in 1959, with $100 in his pocket and a suitcase, an 18-year-old Bruce Lee was put on a steamship to America. He was sent back to the city of his birth, San Francisco, to live with family friends. He later moved to Seattle, where he worked as a live-in busboy at a Chinese restaurant, Ruby Chow's, sleeping in a small room above the dining area. He enrolled at Edison Technical School and later at the University of Washington, where he majored in philosophy. This was a surprising choice for a street fighter. But Bruce was deeply curious about the human mind, about the nature of existence. The philosophical texts he read, the ideas of Socrates, Plato, and the Eastern concepts of Taoism and Zen, would become the bedrock of everything he later taught. He did not just want to learn how to punch, he wanted to understand the meaning behind the movement. At the university, he met a young woman named Linda Emery. She was blonde, sweet, and curious about his unique teaching. Bruce had already started giving martial arts lessons to earn extra money. Linda joined his class. He was a tiny, intense, hyper-energetic man who would lecture on philosophy while stretching their legs. She was fascinated. They fell in love. It was a controversial relationship at the time. Interracial marriage was still illegal in many states. But they did not care. They got married in 1964, and Linda would become his rock, his partner, and the mother of his 2 children, Brandon and Shannon. Bruce's martial arts journey was a constant evolution. He had trained in Wing Chun Kung Fu under the legendary master Ip Man back in Hong Kong. Wing Chun was a close-quarters, efficient fighting style, designed for a smaller person to defeat a larger opponent using speed and technique. Bruce had absorbed its principles deeply. But in America, he was exposed to other styles: boxing, wrestling, judo, fencing. He started to question the rigid traditions of classical kung fu. Why were there so many useless forms, so many fancy moves that would never work in a real street fight? He began to pull apart the traditional styles and keep only what worked. He incorporated the footwork of Muhammad Ali, the explosive power of Western boxing, and the grappling of wrestling. In 1964, at a martial arts tournament in Long Beach, California, Bruce Lee gave a demonstration that would become legendary. He performed his famous one-inch punch. He placed his fist just 1 inch away from a volunteer's chest. Then, without pulling his arm back, he exploded his entire body in a single, coordinated burst of power. The force sent the man flying backwards into a chair. The audience gasped. He also did 2-finger push-ups, balancing his entire body weight on just his index finger and thumb. The martial arts world had never seen anything like him. He was a human lightning bolt. This demonstration caught the attention of Hollywood producers. The television series Batman was a huge hit, and a producer named William Dozier saw Bruce and thought he could be the next big star. He was cast as Kato in the series The Green Hornet. The show only ran for 1 season, from 1966 to 1967, but Bruce Lee as Kato, the agile, masked chauffeur, stole every scene. His speed was so fast that the cameras had to be slowed down just to capture his movements. He was becoming a cult hero. But Hollywood was a racist place. Bruce struggled to find leading roles. He was often asked to play stereotypical Asian characters with buck teeth and cues. He refused. He pitched his own ideas, but the studios were not ready for an Asian leading man. The door was closed. Frustrated, Bruce returned to teaching, but he did not just teach fighting. He taught a philosophy of self-expression. He said, "Empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. You put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now, water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend." He named his martial arts system Jeet Kune Do, which translates to the way of the intercepting fist. It was not a fixed style. It was a philosophy of constant adaptation, of using what is useful and discarding what is useless. In the early 1970s, still unable to break through in Hollywood, Bruce made a pivotal decision. He returned to Hong Kong, the city he had fled as a troubled teenager. And he discovered that he was a superstar there. The Green Hornet had been dubbed into Chinese and renamed the Kato Show. He could not walk down the street without being mobbed. The Hong Kong film industry offered him a contract. He signed to make 2 films with Golden Harvest Studio. His first leading film was The Big Boss, released in 1971. It was shot in a tiny village in Thailand, on a small budget, in terrible conditions. But Bruce poured everything into it. The film was raw, violent, and completely unlike anything audiences had seen. In the climactic fight scene, Bruce rips off his shirt and unleashes a fury of punches and kicks. The movie was a massive box office smash. It broke all records in Hong Kong. His second film was Fist of Fury, released in 1972. Set during the Japanese occupation of Shanghai, Bruce played Qinjin, a student who avenges his master's death. The film was an explosion of Chinese nationalism and anti-colonial rage. When Bruce smashed a sign that read "No dogs and Chinese allowed," the audiences in Asian theaters would stand up and cheer. He was no longer just a movie star. He was a symbol of pride. Now Bruce had power. He formed his own production company, Concord Productions. He wanted total control. He wrote, directed, and choreographed his next film, The Way of the Dragon, released in 1972. It was a film that only Bruce Lee could make. It had a comedic, fish-out-of-water story of a country boy who comes to Rome to help a family restaurant. But the climax of the film was a sequence for the ages. Bruce fights an American karate champion named Chuck Norris in the ancient Roman Colosseum. The fight was not a quick, flashy montage. It was a slow, strategic, predator versus prey battle. They circled each other. They studied each other. Bruce and Chuck, who were friends in real life, choreographed a fight that was like a ballet of death. The final shot of Bruce standing over the fallen Norris, his body trembling with exhaustion, is one of the greatest moments in action cinema. The film broke box office records again. Bruce Lee was now the biggest star in Asia. Hollywood finally came calling. A major studio, Warner Brothers, partnered with him to produce his dream project, Enter the Dragon. It was the first kung fu film produced by a major Hollywood studio. Bruce was not just the star, he was the creative force, demanding that the fight scenes be authentic. On the set, he was a perfectionist, driving himself and his stuntmen to the absolute limit. He trained obsessively. His body was a masterpiece of muscle, with almost zero body fat, all achieved through his own unique training methods of running, weightlifting, and isometric exercises. He could do sit-ups late into the night. Enter the Dragon was an island-set tournament story, filled with espionage and iconic characters. Bruce played a Shaolin monk recruited to compete in a deadly tournament hosted by a rogue martial artist named Han. The film was packed with iconic scenes. The opening fight with Sammo Hung, the nunchaku sequence that was so fast the camera could barely follow it, the Hall of Mirrors finale where Bruce must track and destroy his enemy. The film was scheduled to premiere in August 1973. Everyone knew it was going to change everything and make Bruce Lee an international superstar. But he would never see it. On July 20th, 1973, just a month before the premiere, Bruce Lee was in Hong Kong. He had been working nonstop, and his body was under tremendous stress. He went to the apartment of a colleague, Taiwanese actress Betty Ting-pei, to discuss a script. He complained of a headache. She gave him a painkiller, a common aspirin called Equagesic. He lay down for a nap. And he never woke up. When his friend and producer Raymond Chow arrived, Bruce was unresponsive. An ambulance rushed him to the hospital, but it was too late. Bruce Lee was pronounced dead. He was only 32 years old. The news shocked the entire planet. The official cause of death was cerebral edema, a swelling of the brain caused by a hypersensitivity reaction to the painkiller. The world could not believe it. The man who seemed indestructible, who had taught us to be like water, had slipped away. Over 30,000 people lined the streets of Hong Kong for his funeral. He was dressed in the Chinese costume from his most famous role, and he was laid to rest in Seattle, the city where he started his journey. A few weeks later, Enter the Dragon was released. It was a phenomenon. It grossed over $200 million worldwide and became a cultural touchstone. The boy from Hong Kong had posthumously become a global legend. His image, the yellow jumpsuit, the nunchaku, the piercing battle cry, became instantly recognizable icons. He opened the door for every Asian actor who came after him, from Jackie Chan to Jet Li. His son, Brandon Lee, grew up to be an actor and martial artist, following in his father's footsteps. But tragedy struck again. In 1993, while filming the dark superhero movie The Crow, Brandon was accidentally killed on set by a defective prop gun. He was only 28 years old. He was buried next to his father. Linda, who had lost both her husband and her son, remains a keeper of Bruce's legacy. Bruce Lee's philosophy continues to inspire millions. He was not just a fighter, he was a thinker. He wrote down his thoughts constantly, filling notebooks with reflections on life, mastery, and self-discovery. His words have become mantras for athletes, entrepreneurs, and artists all over the world. He believed that the highest technique was no technique, that the highest form was no form. He believed in practical, direct, and honest expression. He wanted people to find their own path, not to blindly follow his. Now, what can we learn from the incredible life and philosophy of Bruce Lee? First, be water, my friend. This is Bruce's most famous piece of advice. He saw water as the perfect metaphor for the adaptable mind. Water can flow or it can crash. It fits into any container. It can be soft, yet nothing is stronger than water over time. In your life, learn to adapt. When you face an obstacle, do not hit it with rigid force. Flow around it. When learning English, be flexible. If one method is not working, try another. Do not be a rigid block of ice. Be a flowing river. Second, absorb what is useful, discard what is useless, and add what is specifically your own. This was the core of Jeet Kune Do. Bruce Lee studied everything, kept what worked, and threw away the rest. You do not need to follow every grammar rule blindly. Learn the useful phrases, the practical vocabulary, the things that will actually help you communicate. Do not study just to pass a test. Study to express yourself. And inject your own personality into the language. Third, do not fear failure. Bruce Lee said, "Don't fear failure." Not failure, but low aim, is the crime. In great attempts, it is glorious even to fail. He was rejected by Hollywood many times. He was told an Asian man could never be a leading man. He was beaten in street fights as a kid. He faced constant racism. But he never stopped aiming high. You will fail many times in your language journey. You will say the wrong word. You will be misunderstood. That is glorious. It means you are trying. Fourth, practice is the path to mastery. Bruce Lee famously said, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times." He understood that mastery does not come from dabbling in many things. It comes from deep, repetitive practice of the fundamentals. Master the core verbs of English. Master the sentence structures. Practice the same conversation over and over until it flows from your mouth without thinking. Repetition is the mother of skill. Fifth, express yourself honestly. Bruce said, "Always be yourself, express yourself, have faith in yourself. Do not go out and look for a successful personality and duplicate it." He did not create his own style by copying Ip Man or Muhammad Ali. He synthesized his own unique blend. Your English should sound like you. It should carry your humor, your culture, your personality. Do not be a copy of someone else. And finally, the body and mind are one. Bruce Lee was a philosopher who could also do two-finger push-ups. He did not separate mental from physical training. He read Plato while running. He believed that a healthy mind requires a healthy body. As you work on your English, also take care of your physical self. Exercise, eat well, sleep deeply. The discipline you build in the gym will transfer to your studies. Bruce Lee once said, "The key to immortality is first living a life worth remembering." He lived only 32 years, but his life burns brighter than almost anyone who has lived to be 100. He said, "If you love life, don't waste time, for time is what life is made up of." You are spending your time right now learning English. That is not a waste. That is an investment in a future where you can cross oceans, make new friends, and express yourself like water flowing freely. So, channel your inner little dragon. Be explosive. Be precise. Be adaptable. And most of all, be you. Thank you for listening to this story. If it fired you up to be a warrior in your own life, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Share this with someone who needs to hear Bruce Lee's wisdom. And let me know in the comments, what is your favorite Bruce Lee quote and how does it apply to your life? I read every comment. Until next time, keep flowing, keep growing, and never forget that the power to change your world is already inside you. Bye for now.